The Watcher in the Woods. In the 1970s, a young couple, Mark and Elaine, purchased an old farmhouse. Nestled deep in the woods of Maine, the house was charming but eerily isolated, surrounded by towering trees that seemed to close in as the sun set. Locals avoided the area, muttering vague warnings about the Watcher, but the couple, eager for a quiet life, dismissed the stories as baseless superstition. From the start, odd things began happening. Doors creaked open on their own. Objects moved to places neither of them had left them, and at night, there was an unsettling tapping on their bedroom window, always 3 slow taps. Mark assured Elaine it was just branches, but she wasn't convinced. One night, while unpacking in the attic, they discovered a trunk filled with old photographs. Most were mundane, depicting a family who had once lived there. But at the bottom of the pile, they found a single photo that made their skin crawl. It was a black and white picture of a shadowy figure standing at the edge of the woods, its face a blurred void. On the back, in scrawled handwriting, were the words, "He watches from the trees." Elaine wanted to leave, but Mark convinced her to stay. "It's just an old photo," he said. "Probably some prank from decades ago." That night, the tapping on the window came again, louder this time. Mark grabbed a flashlight and stepped outside, determined to prove it was nothing. But as he scanned the tree line, the beam of light caught something that made him freeze. At the edge of the woods, there stood a tall, emaciated figure, its skin pale as death and its eyes to black voids. It didn't move, didn't flinch. It just stared. Mark backed into the house, locking the door behind him. "We're leaving," he whispered to Elaine, who was trembling with fear. They packed quickly, planning to leave at first light, but as the hours crawled by, the noises grew worse. Scratching at the walls, faint whispers that sounded like their own names, and the unmistakable sound of footsteps pacing the hallway outside their room. When dawn finally broke, they bolted for the car, but their escape was cut short. Etched into the car's windshield, in jagged claw marks, were the words, "You cannot leave." Desperate, they ran to the nearest town and told the local sheriff what had happened. The sheriff's face turned pale. "You should never have stayed there," he said. He explained that several families who had lived in the farmhouse over the years had vanished without a trace, leaving behind only eerie signs of struggle, despite their fears. Mark and Elaine returned with a group of officers to retrieve their belongings. The house was silent and undisturbed, but the attic door was open. When they went up, the trunk of photographs was gone. In its place was a single item, a photo of Mark and Elaine, taken from outside their bedroom. They fled the house and never returned. But weeks later, Elaine received a package in the mail. Inside was the original photo of the shadowy figure at the tree line and a note that read, "I'm still watching." Mark and Elaine moved far away, but every so often, Elaine swears she feels eyes on her from the darkness outside her window, and when she looks, she sometimes catches a glimpse of that tall, pale figure waiting in the shadows. The story remains a local legend, with people claiming that the Watcher is still out there, haunting the woods and preying on those who dare to stay too long.